course, by extension, the tight end position in the receiving game, and Penn State's been loaded there in recent years with Mike Gesicki and Pat Fryermuth. So, Marty, in terms of the tight end position, where do we stand?
Yeah, tight end's another group. Definitely some good talent there. Theo Johnson probably projected to be the starter right now. He's a guy I'm very high on, another former top 100 recruit out of Canada who, again, last year you could see it at times. He'd have a 25-yard catch here, go up over top of a guy to bring a ball down there. You could just see as the season went on, everything's starting to fall into place for Theo. I think he comes through, has a big season. Tyler Warren is a guy I know the staff is very high on, a former high school quarterback. Anyone who watched Penn State last year, you saw they had a lot of different packages for Warren in the backfield. Sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't. But he's a guy the staff's very high on. I know they're very pleasantly surprised with how far he's come as a tight end from having played quarterback in high school to not just the receiving aspect of it, but he's probably the most physical blocker of the tight ends on the roster. And then there's Bretton Strange, who I feel like is almost like the forgotten man, was a starting tight end at the beginning of the season last year and really didn't do anything. I mean, he had a drop against Iowa that was pretty costly, but outside of that, Strange really didn't do anything to lose playing time. It's just Johnson and Warren kept improving as the year went on. So that's a good problem to have. They have three very talented tight ends. This has been a team that, like you said, Mark, going back to the days of Mike Gesicki, has proven they will use their tight ends. And, you know, there's some guys there. Theo Johnson can be an absolute nightmare matchup in the red zone. Tyler Warren's a physical guy who you can bring in even as an H-back to help block and that sort of thing and just get him the ball and let him plow over guys, get those tough yards. And Bretton Strange might be the most athletic of the three. So there's definitely a lot of talent in that tight end room still.
And I should all, I think I'm really curious to see how Brenton Strange, what ends up coming with him, because he was kind of projected to be him and Theo Johnson projected to be the guys last year. And they both had their moments, but neither of them, I guess, maybe wowed you like you thought they would. So we'll see. And I do think Theo's probably in the driver's seat now to be the starter just because of his sheer athleticism at this point. I guess we'll see if Strange he can solidify a spot in the rotation still, or if he gets kind of edged out by Theo and Tyler Warren is there creeping up behind him perhaps. Then you got Jerry Cross, true freshman, who's already enrolled on campus now, a four-star recruit out of Wisconsin. I wouldn't expect to see much, significant game action from him this year, but maybe a guy to keep an eye on for the spring game. I'm sure he'll get some run in that. So getting really glimpse of what he can bring to the table. So it's a group that you hope will be a little more productive this year, perhaps, especially if Theo can, become the prospect we all thought he could be when he first arrived on campus.
Yeah, I think one more thing real quick at the tight ends. I think it's, in a lot of ways, it's comparable to the running back room. They weren't good enough last year. You need to see more out of the tight ends this year. But similar to the running backs, you kind of feel okay because there's talent there. It's not like sometimes, when we get to the defensive preview, we'll get into linebacker. It's a totally different scenario where you worry about linebacker because you worry about the talent there. That's not the case with like running back and tight end, for example. There's talent at those positions. Those guys just need to play better. And in some cases, like a Brenton Strange, we just need to see them play like we've seen them play in the past, and things will be okay. So that's why, tight ends definitely a position, like you said, Tim, they've got to be better than they were last year, but it's easy to feel good about the position still because there is still a ton of talent there. And 9 times out of 10, if you have 3 talented players at a position like Penn State has a tight end, at least one of them are going to figure it out, and you're going to prove to be okay in the long run.